In a showdown of Air Force capabilities between China and the United States, the gap is far from just equipment. Revealing the truth behind China's military might, a myriad of crises beneath the facade of prosperity. What fuels the anxiety of Chinese pilots? Where does their fear of the US military stem from? Despite their outward appearance of strength, the CCP's military combat capabilities are hollow. From mentality to capability, the disparity between CCP and US forces is insurmountable. Trapped in a cycle, the Chinese military's training methods are disconnected from the demands of real combat. A defeated force in a rigid system, reflecting on the false prosperity of the CCP military might. Recently, Chinese People's Liberation Army Vice Chairman He Weidong called for the need to eliminate the false combat capabilities within the military ranks. But this statement has not been publicly reported by the official Chinese media outlets. The reason behind this is self-evident. The issue of false combat capabilities within the PLA has long been an open secret, but the authorities are unwilling to acknowledge it openly. What exactly are these false combat capabilities and how prevalent are they within the PLA? Let's delve into a series of military reports on official PLA websites to gain insight and explore the truth. Number 1. Examining the false facade of CCP's military strength through recruitment and training. A report titled Aviation Engineering University Air Force Non-Commissioned Officers School, Integrating Classrooms with Frontline Combat Training to Accelerate Recruit Training, sheds light on several startling issues within the CCP Air Force. Shortage of aircraft maintenance personnel has led to the rushed recruitment of undergraduate students. Training is disconnected from practical requirements, resulting in students lacking adequate theoretical knowledge and hands-on experience. Insufficient maintenance data and non-standard fault handling procedures leave students to fend for themselves. The article describes how a student with the surname Huang as an undergraduate was directly recruited as a non-commissioned officer recruit. Just a month ago, he finished theoretical studies on the maintenance of a new type aircraft at the university and has already begun practical training in the field. 3 months later, they will be directly assigned to their designated units from their internship units. This excerpt reflects a severe shortage of aircraft maintenance personnel within the CCP Air Force. Consider this. A qualified aircraft maintenance technician typically requires years of systematic training. Yet in the CCP military, ordinary university graduates undergo only a few months of crash training before being assigned to maintain aircraft worth millions of dollars. This is nothing short of risking the nation's significant military assets and endangering the lives of pilots. The report further reveals that the knowledge structure of these students is significantly misaligned with the actual job requirements. Quote, although everyone has an undergraduate degree and has studied a lot of theoretical knowledge, most of them have never seen a real plane. Some students admitted when they first arrived at the Eastern Theater Command Air Force Aviation Unit for training, they couldn't even complete the simulated operations. This detached training model makes it difficult to cultivate qualified combat capabilities. In such a context, some students can only rely on self-study to fill the skills gap. A student by the name of Ding Xiaofeng, formerly an aviation equipment technician in an Air Force unit, went to the university midway and when returned to the Army, he found that he still had a long way to go before graduating. So, a thick notebook full of study notes became his cherished possession. The notebook summarizes the key difficulties and fault handling methods he encountered in operations. While such individual efforts are commendable, they are difficult to compensate for systemic deficiencies. The CCP military's outstanding faults in standardized training and professional management have long been difficult to overcome. All signs indicate that in the context of modern warfare, the CCP military resembles a malfunctioning machine. Although its components struggle to function, they fail to coordinate into a strong force, let alone challenge formidable opponents like the US military. 2. outdated combat thinking and training patterns. Emphasizing close quarters combat while neglecting information warfare, focusing on maneuver training while overlooking guidance capabilities, emphasizing low altitude penetration while disregarding early warning detection. These various indicators suggest that although the CCP Air Force is equipped with some advanced fighter jets, its training mindset still lingers in the past, contradicting modern air combat concepts. On March 22nd, according to a report from the CCP military's website, at an airport in northern Xinjiang, J-10C fighter jets performed an aerial drama. Red Team pilots attempted a cannon attack but returned empty-handed, forced to engage in close combat with the Blue Team. This emphasis on maneuverability over guidance in training clearly fails to meet the requirements of modern air combat for information superiority. In a report on confrontation training by the Naval Aviation Units of the Southern Theater Command released on March 21st, both sides' aircraft focused only on close quarters combat, ignoring the winning rule of information dominance on the battlefield. As military commentator Shen Zhou pointed out, in modern air combat, information superiority is the key to victory. Means such as early warning aircraft, data links, and electronic warfare can help aircraft accurately strike enemy targets from long distances without the need for close quarters combat as in the past. In red flag exercises, the US military focuses on practicing modern combat capabilities such as early warning detection, electronic jamming, and data link transmission. In contrast, the CCP Air Force remains obsessed with traditional cannon duel tactics and may struggle to compete against formidable opponents like the US military. Frequent use of aerial combat training also indirectly exposes China's lack of confidence in its own air-to-air missiles and radar performance. Yet, extensive use of missile training incurs excessively high costs. These signs indicate that while the CCP military claims to be modernizing, its entrenched thinking and training patterns struggle to keep pace with the times. Such detached training from real combat is eroding the combat effectiveness of the CCP military. Ultimately, the backwardness of the CCP military's training patterns reflects the rigidity of its entire military system. Under the system where the party commands the military lacks the intrinsic drive for change and struggles to adapt to the needs of modern warfare. No matter how many advanced weapons are acquired, they may only serve as, quote, window dressing and decorations. 3. Behind the propaganda of the Thunderbolt missile. In recent years, China's advancements in air-to-air missile technology have garnered significant attention, with some even suggesting they have surpassed those of the US. But a closer analysis reveals several dubious aspects behind China's propaganda of advanced weaponry. Firstly, there exists a significant difference between Chinese and American standards in missile range testing. Chinese tests often occur under ideal conditions, while US military data tends to reflect more realistic combat scenarios. This discrepancy often leads to inflated figures in Chinese publications. Take the Thunderbolt 15 missile, for example, where the CCP claims a range exceeding 200 kilometers. In the 5th issue of, quote, Ordnance Science and Technology in 2004, Chief Technical Engineer Liang Xiaogang from the Air-to-Air Missile Research Institute discussed the standards for air-to-air missile range. The maximum range data for Chinese air-to-air missiles is measured under conditions where both engaging parties are flying head-on at an altitude of 10 kilometers and at a speed of 1.2 Mach. Liang Xiaogang is a renowned expert in air-to-air missiles and has held positions such as Chief Technical Engineer of China Ordnance Industry Group and head of the Chinese Air-to-Air Missile Technical Expert Group. According to tests conducted by the US at Tyndall Air Force Base in Florida in 2021, an F-15C Eagle fighter jet successfully hit a BQM-167 subsonic target drone from a distance of 203 kilometers using an AIM-120D missile. Considering that this subsonic target drone's maximum speed is only 0.9 Mach, it may only reach speeds of 0.7 to 0.8 Mach during normal flight. Of course, the F-15C cannot detect and track targets beyond 200 kilometers by itself. This capability is achieved through the coordinated engagement of one aircraft launching the missile and another providing target information. But it's evident that the AIM-120D missile has a confirmed range of 200 kilometers, and the speed of the enemy aircraft may only be around 0.8 Mach. Therefore, if we apply the standards used by the US, it's plausible to estimate that the Thunderbolt 15 missile's range may be less than 140 kilometers. Following the pattern of differences in range data between the CCP and the US, it's estimated that CCP's claimed Thunderbolt 21 missile with a range of 350 kilometers likely has an actual range of less than 240 kilometers. In contrast, the latest AIM-260 missile from the US military has a tested range of 260 kilometers, comparable in size to the AIM-120D. It can be equipped in the internal bays of fifth-generation aircraft such as the F-22 and F-35, providing the capability to engage and defeat CCP fighter jets. Furthermore, in terms of missile guidance capability, the US military holds a clear advantage. The AIM-120D missile employs multiple guidance modes, incorporating advanced technologies such as pulse Doppler radar, infrared and data link, providing all-aspect attack capability. Regardless of whether the enemy aircraft is in front, behind, above or below, the AIM-120D can accurately lock onto and destroy the target. Additionally, the missile possesses outstanding anti-jamming capabilities and data link performance. They enable stable target tracking in complex electromagnetic environments and facilitate coordinated attacks through information sharing. That greatly enhances survivability and multi-target attack capabilities. In contrast, CCP's missiles are yet to be verified in these critical performance aspects. The US military has rich combat experience in electronic warfare and precision-guided weapons, forming mature operational concepts and comprehensive system architectures. In the event of an escalation in the Taiwan Strait situation, the US military can leverage its information superiority to take the initiative in perception, decision-making, and engagement, enabling missiles to more efficiently hit their targets. In addition, the US military can engage in joint operations with allies, sharing battlefield information and collaboratively containing Chinese military actions. If aerial combat is likened to a gunfight, advanced guidance systems and data links serve as long-range sensors and enhanced surveillance for the soldiers, while robust electronic warfare capabilities function as an invisible cloak. Armed with these weapons, the US military will be greatly strengthened in future aerial combat. The CCP Air Force may find itself lamenting its limitations, becoming prey under the claws of the US military. 4. From mindset to capability, the unbridgeable gap between CCP and US military strength. For a long time, the CCP has been adept at utilizing various propaganda methods to shape public opinion in its favor, especially in the military realm. They often deliberately exaggerate weapon performance and combat capabilities to boost morale and deter opponents. But some pilots who once believed they could easily outmatch US fighter jets have come to realize the enormous difference in capabilities between the two sides upon close encounters with each other. An article titled, quote, "A Flight Squadron of an Air Force Aviation Brigade, Forging a Sky Sword That Dares to Win," was published in the CCP's military newspaper on February 6th. Pilots candidly admitted that they could clearly feel the vast gap in training levels when facing off against both the US and Japanese fighter jets. As they put it, quote, "In an aerial confrontation, just one or two maneuvers, the opponent's training level becomes evident, and there's no fooling anyone." These words effectively highlight the CCP's military training shortcomings. Even the squadron leader has to acknowledge this reality. After every mission, he diligently reviews the details of the battle, objectively evaluates the enemy's strength, and reflects on how to enhance their own capabilities. His language has revealed a departure from the confidence of the past. He not only dares to say they will, quote, impose greater deterrence on the opponent, without mentioning the ability or confidence to defeat them. This reflects his lack of confidence in defeating the US military. The US military disclosed that their F-35 jets had close encounters with the Chinese J-20 fighters in the East China Sea. During these encounters, the J-20 displayed clear signs of lack of confidence and chose to evade when approached by the F-35. Subsequently, US pilots offered a simple and direct assessment of the J-20's performance. Quote, not worth a shot. In contrast, the CCP military remains tight-lipped about this encounter, avoiding any mention of it. Once full of confidence, these Chinese pilots were eager to engage and defeat the enemy at the first opportunity. But when they faced close encounters with American fighter jets, their confidence burst like a punctured balloon, instantly vanishing into thin air. Faced with the advanced equipment and skillful tactics of the US military, they are like lambs targeted by a fierce predator, trembling in fear, praying for the ordeal to end soon. 5. Stuck in a rut. The disconnect between PLA training methods and combat requirements. The apprehension of Chinese pilots towards the strength of the US military is undoubtedly rooted in the gap in equipment performance. Take, for example, the reported day and night flight training conducted by a unit of the PLA Air Force in the Central Theater Command on January 16th. The report claimed that after identifying targets, the pilots carried out low-altitude bombing in a manner reminiscent of World War II and declared the targets destroyed. But in modern warfare, such tactics are tantamount to a death sentence. For instance, the US military has long abandoned low-altitude bombing in favor of precision-guided bombs that can strike accurately from dozens of kilometers away. In contrast, the mainstay air-to-ground missiles of the PLA Air Force, such as the KD-88, have a range of only 200 kilometers and take a full 12 minutes to reach their target. This means that aircraft must linger within the range of enemy air defenses for at least 12 minutes, exposing themselves to extreme danger. The PLA Air Force similarly exposes issues in its maritime attack exercises. They prioritize training for low-altitude penetration with radar off, attempting to surprise maritime targets. But in modern naval warfare, such tactics from World War II are evidently ineffective. Warships are generally equipped with advanced early warning radars, anti-aircraft missiles, and helicopter warning systems, making it easy to detect and shoot down PLA aircraft before they enter attack range. In contrast, the US military has developed a comprehensive set of modern combat methods, emphasizing information superiority, precision strikes, and integrated operations. Faced with the low-altitude threats from China, the US military can effectively counter attempt ambushes using means such as AWACS aircraft and data links. The disconnect between PLA Air Force training content and combat requirements is glaringly exposed in the Golden Dart target shooting competition. According to reports from the PLA's military website, participating pilots are required to pilot fighter jets to destroy fixed ground or maritime targets, with higher scores awarded for greater precision. But whether this singular training model can truly enhance pilots' combat capabilities remains highly questionable. As one Golden Dart winner candidly admitted, they face the same fixed targets every day, with the focus of training being repeatedly destroying these targets. Quote, we start by aiming at the larger bullseye and once hit, gradually narrow down the target area, practicing step by step until we can accurately hit the smallest bullseye. But the problem arises when even this pilot who has won a number of awards acknowledges that facing the rapidly changing targets in actual combat, achieving the same level of precision strikes is uncertain. These words pinpoint the crux of the issue. Pilots spend a significant amount of time and energy practicing to meet a specific standard, yet lack confidence when deployed to the battlefield. This indicates a significant disconnect between the training content of the PLA Air Force and the demands of real-world combat. In contrast, the U.S. military's training content is diverse and rich in combat realism. In addition to conventional subjects like aerial combat, the U.S. military places greater emphasis on conducting offensive and defensive drills in complex electromagnetic environments. They utilize advanced simulation technology to create realistic battlefield scenarios for pilots, training them to identify friend from foe, seize opportunities, and respond swiftly. Through these combat-oriented training exercises, U.S. military pilots are able to maintain composure, make decisive decisions, and maximize combat effectiveness when faced with actual combat situations. From recruitment and training to real combat exercises, from advanced weaponry to systematic warfare, behind the facade of prosperity lies a CCP Air Force plagued by morale issues and inadequate capabilities. This force may still impress during parades, but when faced with the challenges of modern warfare, it's doubtful whether it can bear the heavy responsibility of safeguarding national security. The hollowing out of China's military strength stems from its outdated military concepts and the rigidity of its institutional mechanisms. Under the party commands the gun system, the military has become a tool to maintain party dominance rather than a force defending national interests. With soldiers lacking a sense of mission to dedicate themselves to national defense, military construction naturally struggles to focus on actual combat and measure up to top-tier standards. Coupled with weak technological prowess and insufficient innovation drive, the CCP military is destined to fall further behind on the path to modernization. CCP's false military might not only jeopardize its own security but also poses risks to regional stability. On one hand, China may overestimate its military strength, leading to aggressive actions that threaten regional peace. On the other hand, the misjudgment of CCP's military power by neighboring countries could exacerbate arms races and ignite new security dilemmas. The false strength of the Chinese Air Force is a microcosm of the entire PLA. Through the layers of fog, what we see is a military losing its will to fight and its capability, destined for defeat.